We're live. Uh, this is the Belizean Affairs Show number 114 for Monday, 11th of March of 2024. My name is Leonard Brackett. I'm one of the co-hosts to the program, and we have Mr. Um, Roody Wade, who is also one of the panelists and co-hosts, as well as we have tonight one of our regular hosts as well, Ms. Sharon Pitts, who will do us the honor of being the chairman for tonight until the regular chairman shows up. If he doesn't show up, then Ms. Pitts can just run the show, and we are run behind her.
Okay then.
Thank you very much, Belizeans at home and abroad, for tuning into tonight's show, and we hope that we bring you something that is worthy of a valuable time. I'll go ahead and do a little short prayer, if you don't mind. That's part of the pattern, and then I'll do a short reading, and then Ms. Pitts will take over. Divine loving Father, we come before thy presence once more, asking that thou would continue to have mercy upon us, that thou would continue to bless us, give us strength, courage, endurance, perseverance, give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, so that we may be able to continue serving the needs of our people and countries. Please bless our brothers, sisters, cousins, uncles, aunts, all the rest of our family members, mothers and fathers, and please continue to bless our country of Belize, its people and its leadership. Please continue to bless this country of the United States, its people and its leadership. And in specific, we would like to offer a request to thee that thou would also bless the people of Haiti. Have mercy upon them, loving Father, knows their trials and tribulation, and how many hundreds of years they've been undergoing this process of being pushed aside, marginalized, and oppressed. Please continue to bless the rest of humanity, each and every one of them, the knowest them by name and number. And when thou comest, please give us an opportunity to be with thee in thy kingdom, for us these mercies in Jesus' most precious name. Amen.
Amen.
I'll just do a short reading here from Ecclesiastes. I'll read Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 1 and 2. I said in mine heart, go to know, I will prove thee with mirth. Therefore, enjoy pleasure, and behold, this all is vanity. This also is vanity. I said of laughter, it is mad, and of mirth, what does it? I'll read verse 3 just for contextual purpose. I sought in mine heart to give myself unto wine, or in other words, to become a drunkard. Yet, acquainting mine heart with wisdom, and to lay hold on folly, till I might see what was that good for the sons of men. In other words, they want to go out and have a fine time and run around and have a jolly making time, which they should do under the heavens all the days of their lives. I hope that we do not subscribe to that particular perspective in terms of wanting to depart into the ways of the world and just forget about God and just run our lives into the ground, and then having to hope that we have a second chance at redeeming ourselves or being redeemed. But that's the reading for tonight. And again, like I said, this is the Belizean Affairs Show number 114 for March 11th of 2024. I'll turn the show over quickly to Miss Sharon Pitts, who will do us the honor of starting out the show. And I see that we have uh, assigned chairman for the night in the background. I don't know. Yeah. Uh,
Good night. Good
Mr.
night.
Chairman, oh, just a second.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, since you hadn't shown up when we were launching just now, we just took the liberty of telling Ms. Pitts that since she hadn't been around for a while and she wasn't available, then we should just make her temporary chairman for tonight until you came in, right? And so before she was able to open her mouth and kick off the program proper, you was already there. So I don't know if you want to give her a 10 or 15 minutes to elaborate on whatever she was already trying to project, no? And then just take over.
Well,
That's what we agreed to. That
I do appreciate that.
turn it back
I'm
over
very
to you.
appreciative.
Uh-huh.
I'm very appreciative of the friendship and the intimacy we have sharing, you know, these episodes of the Belizean affairs.
Quickly,
And
quickly, one point before you
yes,
proceed and get further. What I would like to do right now is to offer, in lieu of tonight, to Miss Pitts, if she is able to come for Friday, then I'll let her take over the Friday program uh, from me, in lieu of tonight, because I stepped on your toes there just now, like I said,
No,
in trying to
Mr.
offer her.
Brackett is
But
quite all right, you
no,
know.
no, no, no. I want you to be able to participate with us and sometime get your own show, like I said, your own chance to run one of the program, chairman, your own program.
well,
So, but
let,
not for tonight. I can't do that to the chairman without
let,
even
let me
it's not,
say this
it's not proper.
though. Let me
So I'm
say
just
this.
yes. Go
We
ahead, sir. I'm
should
sorry.
be able, we should be able to alternate. And I will not take away from having her open up, but I have something that will go right in line with her opening mistake. And I really and
Thank you very much
truly
for acknowledging, sir.
need her legal assistance. Of course, you will know, we will know, but so the public at home and abroad can know, as soon as this would finish, I would like to hear your comment on it as you open.
I never did offend you. I could disrespect me and my colleague. I never did disrespect you.
Yes.
You call me simple. I can't say. I can't see the face from the will set me down because I know that Miss Whore
Me
and
and you we could sing together, but we can't talk together. And you know, walk out of this police
Me
station.
never sing with you.
Disrespected me.
You know what? Explain.
You walk in this police station, disrespected yourself. Two police officers there. If you had a situation you need to clear up, you could have stepped in. Good night. I would like to
how you would want I present when you don't sit down for me. When I ask you what happened to my workman.
When you were through, you say how you call mark my face, bro. You already know what?
Miss, I can see the face from the one that sit down for me.
You will get charged for boisterous behavior.
Boisterous behavior. The police here, I was on the phone and that's what happened. This that the double right here. Where I call she that the diarist will answer. PC whore. Then talk about them want detain me, then want talk about charge me for I dep on the phone. My workman send me the situation where I send Mr. Barrow and I tell them, I tell them that the man said he want charge me.
Out of your phone, you detain.
Who you call, brother?
Out of your phone, you detain.
I don't give shit who
Did
you
they
Out
know
of your phone, you detain.
Simple.
What they charge?
Boisterous behavior.
Boisterous behavior?
Talking was simple as boy.
Out of your phone, I put it there.
Oh no, me want charge me for I dep on the phone for before there.
Yes,
I tell
will
you,
charge you
put
for
your phone there.
behavior. Who is you walk up in a police station and talk simple?
What I say?
You talk about you walk up my face, bro.
Stand up there. I don't tell you detain.
Please give me my phone.
Stand up there, you detain.
Chief, please give me my phone.
You're
up there,
detained.
you
You don't
detain.
need no fucking phone.
So the phone
Just make a put up my phone.
Stand up there right now.
I just want to
Right now.
I just for record then
Make a give me phone.
No.
Zap, put your hand on my phone.
phone come back to her.
I turn the floor to you, Mr. Quite interesting.
Oh, man.
To me, is that real? Is that AI? Is that happening in Belize? Is that a dramatic presentation with actors? Is that real life? Does that represent we as a people, or manners, or level of humanity, or level of how we operate? Is
where we're
that the
heading.
belief that I understand one used to go to help the police and invite the police to maintain the peace? Is that our beliefs where we have respect for uniform because the uniform commands respect or garner respect and decorum, an unspoken tradition. I mean, I might be talking ideal, but there's a certain standard to which we must not, fall below. And if we've fallen below it, we have to brush off our knees and kind of regroup, reach back for what we were. Sometimes two-man popalik fall down, you get up, you shake hand, and you say, you know what, make we work good together. Am I oversimplifying? But really and truly, it's a sad day in the state of affairs, no? Of Belize.
If I may, Miss Faith, what charge is vicarious behavior?
No, I am not saying anybody should be charged, I am not saying that at all.
Well, I was
Ms. Pitts?
asking you a
I am
question.
incredulous right now, to put it briefly.
Ms. Pitts? May I?
Yes, sir?
May I? Mr. Chairman, could I get a quick input there?
Go ahead, sir.
I would like to say that from my vantage point of vision, looking at what you presented there just now, I don't know what happened before, but I know what we saw that happened while we were looking at it. And I can say my personal sentiments are that the young man went in there to ask questions, and these officers are so much into themselves that nobody could supposed to open their mouth and ask no questions or say nothing in regards to something that had transpired prior or before. As the young man said, them they tried chance from before. He had his video on and was, and he's saying that there's cameras in that place. We're supposed to maybe they record what happened even before he started to see the part that we were showing. The bottom line is that to me, some of these officers, and not only just those officers, it's the same mindset apparently is being fostered by all these so-called people of power or authority. They hide behind their authority under the color of law and commit crimes. For example, now, from what we saw there, like I said, we don't see the whole thing, but from what we saw, there was no justification for them to try and rough up that young man and take him into custody. He had committed no real crime per se. And if he had committed a real crime per se, especially if it wasn't a violent crime or hurt anybody, he should have been allowed to go through the process properly without any abuse of his person or effects or goods. Those police officers violated the man's fundamental rights in the first place in so many different ways, besides violating their own police protocols and procedures, okay? Departmental procedures. But they will get off from that because they could always say something different, like where the young lady was telling the young man before the other gentleman came around, want to rough up the young man and knock down his phone and take away his phone and because the young man want to put away his phone. That's the young man's right to have his phone. He hadn't committed any crime from what we could see, as I'm saying. Maybe he might have before. But from what we saw, he hadn't committed a crime by asking the officers them to provide him with some information so maybe he could use to deal with what needs to be dealt with legally. He went there for information, not for them to sit on him and try to arrest him and stop him from leaving the place just because one of the officers feel offended or feel insulted. I mean, that's saying craziness like what they said and make that laugh. Huh? That's the law when they just revised the other day. When they revise it again and put the politicians there add themselves at the end of the list.
The common assault.
Yes. This gentleman did not assault an officer. I did not heard any offending words or anything that you could say the man made a cuss bad word or maybe he was drunk or maybe he misbehaved or whatever. But they could claim all kind of claim when they want against the young man and pretend to stop him from leaving, which in the first place they shouldn't have done. The man walk in there, not having committed a crime. He didn't commit a crime while he was in there. He should be able to walk out freely. They tell the young man to out of the phone. Like in other words, the young man can't record in his own defense and for his own personal use and need the evidence that he might need to show that he comported himself appropriately or good enough to not have been put under charge or remand. In other words, they have the authority of police, the authority of the state. So whatever then dictate or whatever come out of their mouth or whatever they want to say should be the law of the land. Aren't they being taught how to act as a police officer? And when they are outside of their jurisdiction, or what constitutes proper or adequate legal policing? Because policemen, not because they have the authority of the law on their side, should go about committing crimes under the color of law. That's illegal. But anyhow, we'll probably deal with the matter a little further on as we discuss. And thank you for.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. Mr. Wade, as a former police officer.
Crazy, man.
I want Ms. Spitz to continue her thoughts, because she was about to say something. So go ahead, Ms. Spitz.
I think Mr. Leonard make the point as to what would have been operating in my considerations too. We don't know what went before or so, but definitely from what was apparent, it seems that what would have been a very civil part of a citizen inquiring about somebody who was no stranger to that citizen and going to a public officer, if we take it policemen and women or public servants, to make an inquiry and to elicit.
Peace officer. Peace officer. That's why they call it PC.
Peace officer, a keeper of the peace. One whom, in the good old days, I'm told by the elders, if you saw a police person in uniform, you were able to assist that police if, say, someone was running away or something, no? Go to the aid of the policemen. I am hoping that Belize will be a place where people aren't afraid of police. They talk about community policing. They go through the neighborhood and, try to extend goodwill and so on. But when you have aberrant behavior, I think there has to be calm and equanimity and nobody going off the handle and using, certain words and the scripts, right? Can be quite insultive to members of the public as well. And if the police is or within their more immediate domain of a police station, they should still remember that that's a part of public property, Belize, and it must be somewhere the person comes in. Maybe start by saying, "Good day, how are you? How can I help you? How can you assist us? Can you wait a few minutes? I'll be there." Or you're inquiring about Mr. So-and-so. We have a concern. He has privacy. That kind of thing, right? No, sometimes life is not that simplistic, right? But when you have, it seems to me, a flying off the handle, an abandonment of calm and comportment and deportment and decorum. But should be leaders.
Only feedback there, Greg, that your one or my one?
Definitely, the matter of civil liberty. When one goes to inquire of the police station, it's not as though police want you or you're a wanted person. And how do you move from that to saying you will arrest somebody? Even when you have people charged for escaping, for example, escaping lawful detention. The police could charge you. But when you go to court, the prosecutor has to establish, one, it was lawful detention, right? You can't just take somebody's liberty because they walk over the threshold of the police compound. And it seems to me when people go there as members of the public too, they should go with a bit of calm and understanding what they're doing, but things should not start to unravel or escalate, that it becomes that, right? And there should be a balancing and, a calmness, a way, a demeanor, right? But if the basic thing is, let's say somebody feels a way, concerned, worried, a worker has been, quote unquote, chance, unfairly dealt with, and that person is going there as an intermediary or just somebody who is not a total busybody or stranger, but to go and check on the person. What is it that does not allow an officer, a public servant, a peace officer, and I'll repeat myself to say, good day, Johnny Public, good day, Miss Janie Public. How can I help you, Mr. Belize citizen? How can I help you, Miss Lady Belize? And, oh, it's about so and so, that person connected to you. Well, we have this concern, or person should come in, or you know what, we can't discuss it because so and so. But then the person's property, I don't know that things should be knocked out of people's hand, because then you might very well have a situation where
That's
some
an assault.
simple inquiry goes to unlawful detention, goes to assault by a police officer, right? Can be aggravated assault.
Yeah.
Basically, people should not be afraid of going to the police station. It should be a sanctuary that you go to. Even when people have committed crimes, when they go to police station, to be protected. I'll just give one quick example. During COVID, when the police were having people there over and over, I was one who was saying, you know what? Where are their masks? Why you have so many people? Why you are saying the person must wear or should wear one mask for 4 days? Some simple things show the humanity and the ability of the police to take care of people and be careful of their own, Maybe it is somebody has an off day, but you know what? Sometimes they have to leave the off day away from your office, or call in sick if you're not pleased with, something, and feel like you can. If you feel sick at the job, maybe that's a sick day, right? If you're going to interface with the public, because too many things can go negative too fast. What one has to be cognizant of always is that in police stations, you have people armed with government issued, GI issued weapons and so on, right? You have the confines of a station. You have somebody who, I know in some countries, when somebody is being attacked on the street or so, they don't want to run to police, They prefer run to somebody else, one person where they consider less frightening, right? Let it be that police stations for Belize still can be a place of safety and sanctuary. And if a Belizean goes into a police station, and I'll get to something that I haven't touched, right? Nobody to touch this thing, right? Uno remember when police station used to paint the white with green trim? The way? Okay. Had the friendly green, right? They changed to yellow and green. Well, yellow the more sunshiny, so it should be even friendlier.
Canary yellow.
I'm making
My favorite
in
color.
certain countries across from this hemisphere where you don't have rule of law, you have a trend and something established where you will see the whether it's a color designation or insignia of the police, right? In Belize, it's a paint. Instead of green and white, yellow and white, I'll finish right now. You'll see at more and more commercial and private businesses, those booths, and gratuitously, it seems, businesses will be providing these for the public or policemen. And then, of course, we have a tradition where businesses can hire policemen off duty or in uniforms. I think it used to be that it was at dances and so on. Maybe Belizeans were so well behaved they didn't need them at the side of the street.
Right
But
on
if
that.
something is happening at a business spot and the policeman is being paid by the businessman, is it his first duty to the peace? Does it not remain his first duty to the public when he wears that uniform with the regulation number? But more than that, before I get to the regulation number, he's a sworn peace officer for the people and country of Belize. Food for thought. Food for thought. In certain places across the world, you see, you have established what you see more and more popping up of in Belize, and we are taking it for granted and commonplace. And I see sometimes, and it is very good, anybody make their living, you know, but policemen, I mean, they're not properly recompensed, right? They go through a lot of frustration, and then sometimes that translates into their chance in people. I can give you some examples, right? Recently, there was a traffic detour because of some municipal works. And the policeman claimed that he had arrested about 6 people. And he didn't want to hear that the detour sign was put across from the do not enter sign. And the big equipment was there, the big machinery, the loader sand, everything that you couldn't go. And the drivers were following the detour sign. Government issue, municipality issue, local government detour sign to proceed up a certain street. Discretion, well, it seems that the discretion was, you know what? Babylon boops you. If you don't, whatever, you know, get ticket. And this was recounted to me easily, right? Policeman was boasting and backing up that he had already arrested 6 people. Are we moving to a police state? How does a traffic matter like that? Another junction in the city. You know, the COD case where the young man, a common thing, police stop you certain areas. They don't do it at Bella Vista and certain places. But in poorer communities, oh, we want your license, want to know where you're going. Well, to me, the standard issue to that, if you want to answer, good night, officer. I am exercising my freedom of movement in and about my city and country of Belize. People say that, they think they're smart mouth. One officer was told by the man going to look for somebody's wife. And I think the officer took that personally, right? And the other day, the policemen were taking pictures of somebody's at the stop. The person stopped, said hello. One policeman across the street turned a phone sideways, and that wasn't a government-issued phone. And when the person said, but you're not to be taking my picture, that's unconstitutional, that's so and so, the police was, oh, I am only taking the other one's picture to prove that he is doing his duty. Well, the proof of doing your duty has to do, you're going and you're standing before you get out on the street, and you have another officer there, and you know what? The person said, well, delete the picture. Show me the picture. The picture had the license plate. It had the front of the vehicle. It had the other. So these policemen, they seem to feel like they can be frivolous and flippant. And one policeman was told something, you know, somebody said, you know what? The behavior, and it was beyond that behavior just on the street. And I think I'd use it in court one time, borrowing from Bob Marley. The person who was brutalized, Bob Marley said words to the effect, uniform, I woke up to see uniform brutality leaning over me, staring over me. Well, when the person paraphrased that and tell the police said, I'm not interested in what Bob Marley have to say. I think the person was trying to say, listen, officer, you know what? Take it easy. Calm down. Respect your uniform. Respect people. But it seems that policemen are too giddy. But maybe it is that, and it's no excuse though, that the pressures that they're under. And then they go through training and they're on the street. I remember when Esquivel went to Jamaica when we were students, right? Prime Minister Esquivel. And we were approaching, as we would have any leader of Belize, and the police were there interceding, and he said no. And we were able to say as students, you know what, in our country, mid-80s, Our policemen still use batons, right?
Mm.
Then we move and then we go to Babylon books. Then we go to police uniform brutality. Then you have to run from police, right? How did we descend into that in such a short time when Belize not have the thing with a big population where everywhere you turn somebody linked by affinity and consanguinity, but police must have respect for their office and uniform. Some people don't like to be called simple-minded. That might be considered an insult. And there's a law against using insulting language against people, right? A musical instrument is jackass jawbone, right? Somebody might figure, you know what, if you're calling a J-A or a Jenny A, plural, masculine or singular, you elevate them, somebody else might take it for insult. But sometimes it's the tone and so certain situations must not, we have to have maintaining a equanimity and mutuality, They're not like, you know what, I power over you and I brutal over you and I can't listen or reason over you, right? Don't be frivolous with people's liberties, right? And if the person has a phone and is it that the person feels freer if the person has a phone? Is that a form of protection based on maybe, it has reached such now that people are afraid now to intercede with the police because if that person ever have a phone, what may happen? When more may I get captured, right? Sometimes some
Right,
people
right.
self-vote, So you not have one instigation, but that person already has sometimes I just on a bad day, or bad attitude, lack of training, or people take oath and they forget their responsibility under the oath. I won't say more, and sorry for taking up so much time, no?
Then get giddy.
Thanks,
Mr. Chairman, before Mr. Weird, can I
thanks,
just,
thanks,
uh,
Miss Pitt.
Mr. Weird, before
Well
you
said,
go,
Miss
Mr. Weird,
Pitt.
can I just say a couple of words quickly on what Ms. Spitz was mentioning? So we know, so we know
Go
it's
ahead,
clear.
sir.
Right? It's very strategic. That's why I'm begging the possibility. Um, to me, it appeared that the PC lady felt offended at the idea that the gentleman somehow, according to her, had stipulated that he came in there to see the face of the woman PC that had done the arrest. In other words, then she's trying to intimate or stipulate that that constitute like a potential threat to her, or knowing who she is, that later on there could somebody go and could do her harm. But she did not establish that to be the fact. Now I'm not saying that the poor officer lady, the PC lady, was good enough to understand the laws as they really are, or the details or the intricacies of our legal system to any large degree, because most of these poor people, when they go to police training, are not getting that level of training. In fact, the senior police officers, there are some of them, they follow high command orders to go out and violate the constitution and the law just because they have been instructed by higher up officers. The end result is that these bogus laws, like what the Congress just passed the other day, like for example last Friday when they were talking, is designed to help some of them to intimidate and stop people from demanding accountability of the ministers and the politicians then. But so then put these bogus laws on the book, and unless somebody have money to go and have one review of the law under judicial review for section 20 of the constitution, and or unless these persons are taken to court and they have an favorable judge that would on their behalf look at the law the correct way and don't just take the police words for it and realize that the police officers are committing a crime under the law, under the color of law, by stipulating things that they can't back up or can't provide proof for other than just personal allegations, to try and, in that instance, where I see from my vantage point, I can say I never see everything or know everything. But what I saw was a couple of officers trying to inflame a situation and to try and instigate the person to commit a crime that they would be then justifiably able to keep him there. Even if they can't keep under the original pretext that they were trying to do before, get them to the point of responding or reacting or behave, so that they could then use the latter activity or actions or conduct or response or behavior on the part of the gentleman. They could have even beat him down at the ground. And if he resists the arrest, they could have said, well, he was resisting getting arrested or getting charged or being booked. And it would take a court to resolve that issue. And if the young man not got one chance to go down a court or the higher courts or no got money for a liar or whatever, in the first instance, he had done already spent some days in a jail, which is what they were trying to do to him right there. He never had no representation. He couldn't go and get no representation. So they may lock for him but up right in there, and overnight, at least one night or more, that he may end up in a jail till he find one liar or somebody come in there and know that they're in there and get him one liar. That's an abuse of the system. The police commissioner, the minister of police, and the rest of the government shouldn't be allowing those kind of craziness to happen. But they guys, they don't operate at the level where they don't tolerate that or look into that. These things are happening over and over and over in our country. Sorry, I took up too much time just now. I just wanted us to get that point across, that they were trying to instigate that young man, from what I saw. I could be wrong.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. Mr. Wade.
For yielding.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Guys, Ms. Pitts and Leonard, it's good observation, right? But like I say, I have sat as diarist. I have worked as patrol the streets of this country, and especially like that little scenario played out there as a diarist. That gentleman there, he has a right to go and find out about anything he wants to find out from the police station, right? And to me, that the diarist, right, he didn't do what he was supposed to do, and maybe that the W, I would just say maybe she had met this situation out there before, and then placed this young man on arrest already when he walked in that. Well, you come in and put your on, you go on arrest you.
That's what it was,
right? So
malicious.
So you got to look at it different angles, right? But if they just strang that young man with words just like that, it's so wrong for them to do that. Because like we speak, you rightfully say, you're a peace officer, That young man come and try to get some information, and it's your duty. The commissioner, the OC was sitting down there. They had an obligation to answer that young man after that we pay them. Right? Not that confrontation with Ghana and they just know, man. They should have, if they have dealt with that guy, workman, they should have had that information readily available in the diary. So, so happened to this man. That's what to me, I think that's what that guy was talking about. Like
then the people are get a liar or whatever, then realizing the seriousness of the problem,
Understand? So I just hope that, these kind of things, guys, happen across this country. This kind of behavior, I've seen it. It's not the way it used to be anymore, Miss Pitts, right? It's not the way it used to be anymore. Like that guy walked right into the lion's den, right? Like these police officers, when I used to go to work 7 to 3 or whatever shift I'm on, I go there to serve the people. If I have problem, I left at home, right? But these people take all their baggage at work, whatever it is. And regular folks like you and I go there and then take it out away. Like that, he end up getting arrested, uncalled for, right? What is wrong with what these people are getting trained for? What? What kind of training? I've said this on several. They need to redo their manual, man, and go back to the way it used to be, right? They have no idea of policing. They have no idea of the duties of the police, of a police officer. They are not versed in the criminal law nor police directives, right? They're not, because they jump all over the place and do all the wrong things to people. That's why we are at 3% conviction rate. And while they're doing that, imagine the Holland police, poor people have to go through to find an attorney to the back and forth a court. When because this is negligence and it's stupidity of some of these policemen, right? It's a damn shame, and the police minister need, well, I don't know, right? And the commissioner of police need to get a grip of their policemen and their training academy, right? If not, we will forever be this way. Not the way it used to be. Police in this country is not the way it used to be, right? And I've always said we have a bunch of criminals in the police department. We have a bunch of criminals. I'm saying all of them, right? Based on what I see. That's only me, right? So I pitied a young man, right? So just went there to get some information, and that's what it ended up to. When the policeman should have gave him what he went there to receive, that information. And as far as his personal effects, chance of that guy. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
I thank you, Mr. Weir.
So,
My comment on that would be, we are dealing with police officers who take an oath to the Constitution. A police station is a public place paid for by taxpayers' money. There are three things that happen here that will show unlawful detainment. If you are saying that I'm acting with a vicious behavior, then don't detain me. Charge me right away so I can know what my charge will be. Number two, if my language or speech, is affecting you under the new common assault law, then you have just committed the same thing when you start cursing, because that is what the new common assault law is all about, to protect officers, teachers from harsh conversation. What I do believe is they will hold this gentleman for 24 and release him with no charge at all, which will end up to be, as
standard
I
protocol,
said,
standard practice.
unlawful detention.
But the young man
With
and
that
don't suffer the
said,
consequence of being in jail overnight. Who won't give him back
with
that?
that said,
Who won't make that not having been, Mr. Chairman?
right. With that said, I want to switch
Chance.
quickly to something that have been said on more than one occasion, even with the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister said that when the Ken farmers and SRBSI were trying to get a contract that they, the government, could not give him because that was a private entity. Likewise, the port of Belize, who was formerly under the Ashcroft regime and the stevedores, should fall under private entity also, which will put a bar to the government from interceding. But the government did not do that in the private entity between the cane farmers and SRBSI. In fact, they went ahead again and they tried to pass some laws to hold this private entity accountable, and they lost the case. So let's hear it, because we really need to comment on this.
and the court struck down. In fact, it characterized portions of the regulations as obnoxious, saying that it did interfere with BSI's right to informational privacy, that the regulations would interfere with BSI's right to work, and would interfere with its right to protection of the law, because it amounted to an overreach. The effect of the finding is that the government has used its legislative power in an invasive way, in a way that breached the BSI's right to its confidentiality and privacy of its commercial information.
The Constitution of Belize allows the government to formulate regulations that interfere with a company's rights, but it must be for the greater good of the people. And even though the sugar industry is one of Belize's income earners, the court found that the regulation was the equivalent of an abuse of power. Senior Counsel Godfrey Smith explained the crux of the matter with one of the sections he argued against.
The Sugar Industry Act and the Supplies Control Act already regulated export of sugar in Belize. All of a sudden in 2023, the Sugar Industry Control Board and the Minister of Agriculture brought into law a new set of regulations that had at its core two fundamental things. The first is a requirement that if BSI wish to get a license to export sugar or to manufacture sugar, it had to disclose all contracts, all, to the SICB, Mr. Osorio and his group, with all of its clients internationally. It also had to do that each time it applies for a shipping permit. There's a requirement that each time you want to export sugar, for each batch you have to apply for a shipping permit. And if you haven't made those disclosures, you will not get a permit, or you will not get your license, or your export license can be revoked.
Smith explained that the regulation also sought to impose on BSI a requirement to collect from Tate and Lyle in London any fair trade premium for sugar and paid to associations. This is a matter that the claimants argued had nothing to do with them. The basis on which the claimants put forth their case was that the regulation was crafted so as to delve into BSI's private commercial affairs and to force BSI to do the impossible, that is, to pay fair trade premiums which are not paid by them, but by the London-based company Tate and Lyle. Smith shared his candid view that the government abused its authority when it formulated the regulation.
That piece of regulation was a clear, naked attempt by SICB, Sugar Industry Control Board, and the Ministry of Agriculture to strong-arm BSI and force them to do what the law doesn't allow. So because the disputes have been ongoing and the government obviously must favor the cane farmers because they represent thousands of voters in the industry, it will never be a case where any government, red or blue, will ever side with a commercial entity, a multinational like BSI/ASR.
Lie. It's a lie.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. Why they did it? Because they favored thousands of votes, number one. Okay? But also, Mr. Smith kind of flipped and said something right there that we have discussed on this panel for many shows. The unconstitutionality of the civil asset and unexplained wealth. the unconstitutionality of the other bill that they passed, wanted to know from private donors how much they donate in the NPO bill. I will lead you first, Mr. Brackett, and that.
Uh, what Mr. Smith was intimating, I am partially in agreement with him. And I would like to say, because I'm partially in agreement with him, doesn't mean that I agree with his case presentation, other than the fact that he did what he had to do in order to win the case based on the judge that was sitting on the case. Because some of what he stipulated was a hijinks defense on behalf of his client's position, which not all judges would have gone along with. He so happened to have had a favorable judge in this case who heard the particular case, and as a result, look at the Constitution and ruled in their favor. But another judge could have looked at the same case and the same Constitution and ruled against Mr. Smith, for the reasons that the government is empowered to govern on behalf of the country as a whole. But when they go on and make these decisions, they make them particularly, the travesty of it is that they make them particularly to target an individual or an entity. And you cannot do that constitutionally under the system that we entertain. So that is why our government make these bogus laws, put them on the book and try to use it, like when Mr. Smith was saying partially, as I said, I agree with him, that the government was trying to strong arm his client. And his novel defense was to try and act in such a, how to say, an extraneous okay, he acted very forceful and very strong in his defense. He acted as if he was certain that his position should prevail. In other words, he conveyed a sense of I'm looking for a term, but rather I'm looking for the term to describe the situation aptly or correctly, I could maybe just describe it in more words than instead I go short. What Mr. Smith was saying then, in other words, is that because the government violated certain parts of our Constitution and the way they wrote that particular SI targeting BSI, ASR as a singular entity, contravene the lawmaking prerogative of Congress. As we keep on telling them on this show, as my cousin always says, they make these bogus laws or they come up with these bogus SIs and they expect that these SIs, because they make it and they have a majority, these SIs should trump the Constitution. And it doesn't work like that. I've been saying that over and over. No SI could trump a Constitution. And they keep doing it over and over, which is why they lose all these cases. And that's why even in the lower courts, they lose the cases then against criminals who everybody know had committed the crime, including the criminal themselves. But they get off because in some instances, they don't prosecute them. They can't meet the threshold. They don't do their investigation adequately. In this case, the government is entitled and empowered to make sure that these companies are not chancing for you local Belizeans. And the Prime Minister, while Mr. Smith was saying that the government always look favorably towards the people that were getting the vote, on that particular instance, I object to him saying that as if he was actually telling the truth, because he's not telling the truth. The outcome of the final outcome of what the Prime Minister did was to do as he always do, lean in favor of these big corporate bodies against the local Belizeans. They had a chance to vindicate these cane farmers in their quest for additional or more income out of their money where the BSI ASR gets. Because what BSI and ASR is doing is chancing the cane farmers them. The cane farmers them cut the plant and cane, then plant and cane, then take care of the cane, then cut the cane, transport the cane, bring it to the millers. The millers then mill the cane, send it abroad in the form of the sugar, collect the money, take off a certain percentage of it off the top, and then decide the rest of what left, they want to share it they want to get part of that too, from the cane farmers them. So at every step of the way, then the chance the cane farmers them. And then they add additional things where the cane farmers they recognize and have been advised were not legitimate. But the cane farmers can't go and take the money out of the man in pocket. So they have to strike. They have to do all kind of different things. And the prime minister is scared of the strike because when the strike happens, the industry gets shut down. No cane gets sent out for a year or no milling take place. And therefore the
Mr.
economy as a
Brackett,
whole
Mr. Brackett, if I may,
go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
and vice versa, why the same could not have been done for the stevedores?
They are partial. They are partial. Neither the UDP government nor the PUP government cares about the stevedores. There are a bunch of little black kids over the south side there where, Mr. Prime Minister said they don't need no passport. The previous government under the borough beat down the people and when they try stage the demonstration to make them could get pressure, Mr. Ashcroft. The government even take we want BDF people and sending them and flood the stuff them at our government expense. That money was never reimbursed to our treasury. The time and the effort expended to go and offload and stuff there, Mr. Ashcroft eat that up as well. I mean, there's so many different things that we could point out, but I'll yield back again, Mr. Chairman, because I monopolize the time and I see Ms.
Well said.
and yourself and
In that
Mr.
case, then,
to have an opportunity,
in that case, then it is fair to say, as I said 100 times before, we are dealing with a descriptive government who discriminates. And they took an oath to the Constitution, but everybody is not awarded that equal protection from them. Mr. Wade, let me go to you first
for the
before I go to
Constitution.
Ms. Faith.
Equal protection under the law.
Yeah, well said there, Leonard. This whole thing, I'll sum it up real quick. This is not the first time,
Mhm.
and it's not going to be the last time we have problems with the cane farmers and BSI. And guys, let us not forget Santander, right? My thing is that Santander is here for a reason, and it's gonna happen soon. But sadly, that at the end of the day, that is always the poor class of people feels, right? And the poor cane farmers, right? Then they want to feel, right? And it's so sad to see how this government works. This one in particular, right? That is running the affairs of this country, right? Like you rightfully says, Mr. Chairman, I wish that the same energy that this government takes with situations up north, I would like them to put that same energy into solving the stevedores situation, and likely the situation that we have down south, right? That will become a turn in them pretty soon, right? Pretty soon, because whatever they promised, that's had run out. Election is gone. So they had promised something real nicely for election, right? But in reality, they will not. These people that this government promised, they don't even get the promise, right? They don't even get it, and that is where the problem will come in. But anyway, time is of an essence, and I'll pass it back to you, Mr. Chairman. So
Thank you, Mr. Wade. Ms. Faith.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, may I pivot onto a matter which, if you say, well, it doesn't, it's not Belizean affair, I understand, but within the region, as a part of CARICOM, as a part of humanity, the matter.
Can I get two more statements? Short
Yes, sir.
one. Sir, I don't want to eat up your time. Can I get 2 more statements, Mr. Chairman, on the same subject that we were just
Go
now?
ahead, sir.
I was trying to pull up something that I read today about the government getting $78 million to help the cane farmers and the cane industry. And I wanted to make a comment that the last time the government got money to do something, they end up with 23% of the money going to the cause, and the other 78% being squandered in salaries and other stuff. I want to know what's going to happen with this $73 million. Are the cane farmers going to get any of the money to make them go plant the new kind of crop when they say they need to plant, the more durable canes? Or is it all going to be spent, or most of it going to be spent on studies and high salaries for other people? Back to the sugar thing, the Prime Minister did work on behalf of the big industry, like, again, opposite to what Mr. Smith was saying, because he not only solved the thing in favor of the big company, but he also gave them a contract to bring in sugar to sell to all the country at more than twice the price of what sugar used to be before, then created that problem. But all of us there now, they suffer the consequence of that. So they always manage on behalf of the big company, on behalf of Portugal, on behalf of Feinstein, on behalf of Ashcroft, on hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to Ashcroft, and we need money to run the government. I yield back, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, Mr. Spitz.
I'll say quickly on that before I pivot to that. You continue to see the features of you're being told, well, you know what, nationalism, this, that, that. We got rid of the colonial master, but the difficulty is that the people didn't bargain for, they didn't want, they don't understand corporate colonialism. And it will continue to feature unless people wake up. Mr. Chairman, if you permit me, in the prayers leading up, Mr. Brackett did find time with respect to our neighbors in Haiti. And if I may be permitted, I'd just like to spend just a couple minutes to say that with respect to Haiti, the leaders of CARICOM, I understand, were at it seemed the initiative might have come from the head of Guyana, one of the leaders there, to convene CARICOM meeting with Jamaica, hosting concerning the situation, the crisis in our sister Caribbean nation, Haiti. It seems that from this hemisphere, what Prime Minister Holness was saying in his address is that you can't have certain things unprecedented happening in this hemisphere. And that's with respect to Haiti, and these weren't his words, but mine. You know what you're seeing where it's spiraling into a failed state. I believe that he was saying along what was being presented was that CARICOM, would be in support of making sure that, words to the effect, that, they do what CARICOM as a regional organization play its central role in an urgent way, and that they would look still to the solutions being, you'd say Haitian-centric by the people and as well owned by the people, and the compelling features and so on would be having to do with, restoring stability, looking after the economy, and so on. And of course, it seems, if I understood, the convening or support and suggestion of a presidential council to be able to restore, free and fair elections and so on. And some support and resources. It seems the U.S. Was saying to that forum that, we're committed to beyond doubling our 100 million, as it were, to 200 million, to add another 100 million in financial aid. That's beyond the other resources. It seems a couple African countries, Benin might have been French Africa and another. Kenya, I think, was also a leader at the table. If not, I'm not saying physically present, but by way of connectivity. In our region, we saw Mexico, and Mexico was saying, you know what, we have basically extended for 43,000 of people, what they call it, when refugees flee. What was interesting though is that the diplomat from Mexico was saying that we want to have it that migration is not just, it's an option for Haitians, but not an obligation. I read into that she's saying, you know what, the people's first home is their home. What pulled my heart earlier in the week was I managed to see that when people are being told, well, you know what, evacuate Haiti and so on, a lady who was in charge of non-profit orphanage, her pledge and her basic position was, I will stay here and look after these orphans until my last breath. Simple and very clear. Now, France, if I was hearing rightly, the representative from France seemed to be strongly, of course, concerned with the security and stability of Haiti, and that it would not be victimized by the armed gangs. And it was strongly committed to support and condemning in the highest, strongest terms possible or something, the attacks by the armed gangs, and so on and so on and so forth. It seems to me as though everybody fostering emergence of a broader consensus and so on. I believe that this is a time, an opportunity when Haiti has to be looked after, and I believe that there's sometimes when a former colonial power, not power, but ruler, like France, which crippled Haiti. I think that Prime Minister Holness and all of these, they were speaking equanimity. It seems there was a waiting to communicate, and the systems were, not serving everybody well, but, everybody seemed to be, dealing with it very clearly and, respectfully inter parties, right? On the multinational rapport, the thing is, though, that I heard Prime Minister Holness mention something in cognizance, that what is happening to the first Black Republic. Hear me now.
By design. By design.
He made the statement and he left it loaded or unloaded, right? You see what you said, Mr. Brackett? Now imagine, it would seem to me that the nations of the world, without vitriol, with all their diplomatic speak easy, can easily say to France, where's your bossa nova? Where's your apologia? Where's your recognition that this had to do with crimes against humanity? Where it is that you never forgave France and Toussaint Louverture? Where is the liberty, equality, and fraternity that these people went up for and gave the example to this hemisphere of freedom and a democracy that the people had to win? And by the way, it was not that France demanded payment or compensation for slaves. The way I understand it, our good Lord created all people as free people, and that was a label or a construct. Not legal, not moral, not legitimate, not anthropological, not spiritual. You cannot pay people for charge people for having enslaved them. And it's beyond reparations. What it must start with you have to say mea culpa. 100 and odd years down the road, look at the people in their face, the nation of Haiti, and say, you know what, to a watching world, people are forgiving, people are understanding, but what it takes is that for a France as a nation out there to say, you know what, you can be indignant, you can condemn in strongest term. We don't need you to apologize in strongest term. We want you to apologize in the most sincere and humanitarian of way for history, for the record, for posterity. And we want you to calculate that, was it 150 million francs back then, which is valued at so many billions now? The United States, which is pledging support, did not impose slavery on the people directly of Haiti, right? Saint-Domingue, a beautiful, fertile island, cut into one side, a mecca for tourists, the other as beautiful. You see it in the art, you see it in the heart of the people, you see it in their struggle and their survival and so on. It's a beautiful country. You see, they've persisted despite the hurricanes, the earthquakes. Where is our humanity? We are not humane in the first world in France unless we can extend humanity and bossa nova. I think bossa nova has to do with apology. It's not just poetic license, but find a way, France. Use poetry, use diplomacy, use the power of the purse. You don't have to pledge anything to Haiti. What you can do is reverse and cancel out that debt which never was owed by the people of Haiti for their liberty, equality, and fraternity.
Right.
And I can't say it in French, but fraternity has to do with brotherhood and sisterhood. And I'll finish by saying, no,
So true on that.
the Haitian people, some Haitians that I know, world class. There are one or two I could single out. And when I tell you, these people are, I am saying, beatitudes of Christ, humanity, world class excellence, work ethic. They have an example, the art. You always see the art, colorful, vibrant. You see, nature. You see, the houses. It's just Haiti has heart and vitality. Haiti has people. Haiti has an example to the world. And if the world can rescue Haiti, then we rescue the rest of the world.
So
I
why
finish.
why don't Belize offer some kind of humanitarian rescue in terms of give them part of some piece of land in Mountain Pyramids to relocate over there, or take away some land from Mushcraft or from Marine or from Britannia or from and rescue some of these people where you could say where the heart, where the humanitarian, where the love, where they all one Caribbean nation
They
country.
stop them from coming. They stop them from coming. They send them back when they come in.
But
But
yet
they
to
don't
hear
send back
them talk
all the
about
drove the other one when they come.
what they're
All
doing to Palestine and what they're doing to Gaza and what we hear the man Schumann went anyway. I'm not. I know when I'll leave that for another time.
Rightfully said, Mr. Wade, Miss Fish. I stand with you on that. But we cannot forget neo-colonialism is alive and living well. And within these superpowers, they only help the people that they know they are getting something back. Because as we speak, look at Boris Gardner. He's way down in South America. He's in a meeting right now with Venezuela. And you know what that is all about. But
oil.
I'm saying this to say that the world is turning its back on Gaza. Look what the Americans did to the Cubans and are still doing it. Look at Belize, where so many countries voted in the United Nations for our sovereignty that should be protected by them, and is now turning around and having us put
Violating
our
that
sovereignty
sovereignty.
on
Mhm,
the line. It
mhm.
is ludicrous and crazy, and even in doing that, instead of they've been siding with us and CARICOM to take in Haitian, they want to bring in this drove of Southern Americans who has all those land down there that they can simply fund and have them do planting and other stuff. So I think the policies are totally discriminative and bad. I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, sir. On this particular issue of the Haitian circumstances, I normally would have a lot to say, but because the program is almost at its end, I may have to reserve some of what I need to say or would like to say for another future occasion. But I don't want to pass up the opportunity to at least have something to say. So here it goes. In the first instance, Haiti would not be in the circumstance and situation that it currently is if foreign powers were not intervening and hard and pulling the people them and allowing the Santo Domingo part of the island to be waging wars against them as well. The reason why Haiti is in the situation it is right now is because they dared to throw off their yoke hundreds of years ago and try to set up their own identified independent country. And as of today, date that we are having this discussion, all the nice talk that you hear coming out of other people's mouth, other nations and other people, is just grandstanding and talking nonsense to sound good. They have never addressed the fundamental problems or issues of that country. One after the other, after the other, after the other, they keep overthrowing them people in government, keep instigating crisis in that country to keep them at the bottom of the barrel. Now they talk about going, they go try save the people from themselves. Then they try to save the people from themselves. Then people are just like Belizeans or any other country in the world that would like to have a peaceful existence, being able to survive and take care of their daily needs. And even if they don't become millionaire or rich people, just be left alone to survive and be able to make a life for themselves. That will not happen if the jugglers them and the gangs them, they keep running roughshod over the country. And that was made or facilitated by the previous governments that we had running that country, one after the other, after the other, after the other. They were taking that quick money on the side from the cartel people then, to the point where their local gangs realized that the central government was losing power and the gang members were acquiring the power of central governance. No, they did not become a real governance unto themselves, but they just had the mechanisms, the firepower, and the means by which to force the people, the average citizen, to live under their terroristic pressures in order to survive or coexist. Any military expedition that is being put together right now and before that goes into Haiti and or has gone into Haiti in the past have ended up the same way. And if they do another one right now, you end up the same way. You know why? The people in Haiti are the people of Haiti. They're not like they go in and they excise or extract the gang members them according to the multinationals them, that they would just go in there with a military force and decide who are gangs and who are not gangs and just eliminate the gangs. That's something like what they go under Gaza right now. Then why eliminate Hamas? But Hamas is part of the people. So what do they do? Eliminate the people to get rid of Hamas. So we are send one expedition force in there now with high power, high firepower, better than what the guns they got. Disarm the gangs. Some of the gangs they are roll right and melt right into the rest of the society when the high power expedition force get there. And later on, the same process can continue because they can't kill out all the people in order to save the people from themselves. The gangs are part of the people. And the gangs are being supported by external forces who are running the drugs. Same thing like what's happening in Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, and all the other countries, them, including the United States and Mexico. The gangs are running the drugs on behalf of the big people, and the big people sit down in them big high-rise building, and they manipulate the system from behind the scene, and they manipulate the banks now where they do the money laundering. I mean, it's a big, big story. They're not just what they tell we is all what it is. And therefore, I'm saying, from my vantage point, based on where I figure out or find out or get to know, sending in a military expedition will not solve the problem. Are they going to stop drugs from going into Haiti? They can't stop it from coming into the United States, or from going through Mexico, or from coming into Belize, or from going through Guatemala, or Salvador, or Honduras, or Nicaragua, or any other countries then. How the hell they stop it from going into Haiti? Why? Because of a small island? Who live there? Who have to get crushed in order for the drugs to be kept away? The same people that when they say they want to go see it for themselves. The problem is that we have gangs who are part of the culture and part of the people. And why they became powerful is because of the mismanagement, malmanagement, and the interference of foreign powers into them people's local affairs. Okay? And until that stops, then people will go through the same experience over and over and over. And then know how to stop that process. Stop messing around with the people in business. Suppose the gang leaders then get together and decide, okay, well, we can't kill out each other and kill out the family and kill out all the rest of the people from the country. So we have figured out how we have start manage for we affairs and run for we own country. It better the gang then run it in a kind of way that serves the interests of the people than for foreigners come in and try to put one head of state there to run it on behalf of foreign interests. And the people still not get no food. All the time when Haiti was going through the changes from Papa Doc to Baby Doc to all of the other ones them successfully all the way till now. Then people not get no help. And when they're 1 few miles away from the United States, 1 few miles from Mexico, 1 few miles from Jamaica, 1 few miles from where all the money and the business they go on.
Mr. Brackett, let me ask you this question. Cuba is not even in line with what is going on with Haiti, and they are still penalized, sir, by the American government.
That's a different scenario, though, because the Cubans, them and Fidel Castro there to snub their nose at America and decide to take the help from Russia or the Soviet Union. When they had first came to ask America for the help, America turned them away and figured that they weren't able to take back Cuba from there anyhow. And that's when they launched the BFPs. And it never worked out. Why? The Soviets were already providing them with weapons and things and bought them over. When they asked for the help from America, America never provided to them. So they asked for the Russian. All they want was self-control. They never want no Batista or no other people where they put for governor, to keep them in chattels and warehouses and casinos and servants, or maybe cane farmers and other, that's all I'm going to do with the rest of the people. And Fidel said, no, we're not do that.
Sir,
We can turn the people loose and make
that's
the people
it.
free.
Thank you, sir. Let
welcome.
me go to Mr. Wade. Mr. Wade.
Sad to see how Haiti. I can't see how these people are still surviving, right? They have been pounded with all kinds of issues over the decade that I could remember, right? From rulers to disasters to, you know, and it's so sad to see how these things keep happening to Haiti, and a lot of these um, Haitians try to leave this country. I mean, leave their country, go to other country, and how they have been treated, right? I had lived in Miami for search for a few years, and I see how they could, how they try to come in and they turn them back when they accept all the boatloads of Cubans, right? And the way they treat the Haitians and the way they treat the Cubans, right? And
The,
and
Ma-
and, and,
the
it, and,
Marielitos,
and it's
the
so
Marielitos,
happen to see how sad that other countries does the same thing to these people, right? So it's a world problem. Smith, you said it, excellently, right? That France, they are, for some reason, they are not doing their due diligence, right? And I think karma is something that yet to come, for some of these countries, these worldly countries that have done harm to other countries, right? Some we know about and some we don't know about, right? But it's so sad to see what's going on, man, in the world today, And where does Belize stand with the situation with Haiti? Well, we all know how they operate with the Haitian and the Jamaican trying to come into this country, and how they treat other Central American, people coming into this country. It's complete different treatment, right? But anyway, back to you, Mr.
color
Chairman.
and skin.
Mr. Wade, thank you.
Color and skin.
There you go.
Mr. Wade, thank you. I've said it more than once on this platform. We are living in a design system, and it's not just only in our country, it's worldwide. Because if I may, I will say this right here and now. Venezuela was beginning to become a monetary power in which the white man would be sidelined it. They could not accept that fact, and that is why we are at where we are now. Venezuela under Petrocaribe was lending CARICOM countries money that would hurt the white man's business. And you see what they did. They find a way to destroy it. That is to stay in power. Ms. Fitz, I will go to you last. We're 3 minutes away from the closing, and I will give to you the floor for a closing. So you can have your input as well as the closing. Ms. Fitz.
Just want to say to Belizeans at home and abroad, we recognize the great benefactors throughout the ages, and especially Baron Bliss. I think Captain Nick Sanchez was saying a few days ago that his legacy for Belize even allowed acquisition of the land where our capital Belmopan city is. That's quite apart from Bliss School of Nursing. If you go throughout the length and breadth of this country, you will see that legacy. It is just, what makes it so wonderful? That a man who came by sea, came within our shores. He was, fighting for his health, fell in love with Belize, passed away, and left his legacy, financial for Belize, including the holding of the annual Baron Bliss Harbor Regatta. And I will say I'm happy to know that radio, which is the longest standing both of its kind. I think radio is about 110 years old, still around. We had the pit pan races and so on. The lighters, you know that thing hanking dollar? I think in Hawaii they say outrigging with that wooden device, but in Belize they sailing sloops and the sun lighters, the small ones. The men, I think it's such a powerful part of our history, heritage, and vernacular, right? The metaphor that as Belizeans, right, we could navigate, you know, we have the skill set, it runs through our veins to continue, bolstered by the wind and knowing how to cut with jib, you know, this, that, tack and keel, and so on. And I want to say, despite all that has been done to destroy and derail that, we as a Belizean people, we look like we don't have something where they say the graciousness and loyalty and gratitude, right? We like to spit in the sky. It doesn't take anything from us to give credence and respect. And I believe that we're first class when it comes to sailing and the whole pit pan and the ball races and so on. You know, all of us have family who would have taken part at Belcan Bridge, you know, in the harbor regatta. So I want to say to the harbor regatta committee, although you're not getting the money, you're not getting the radio space, you don't have the, you know, the big party and the days long support and so on. You who keep that going, that legacy, that tradition for Belize. They call it Mejia Jr., the young man Smith, and all the crew who have, you know, who are continuing. We wish you well, and the story and history and narrative is inscribed in our hearts, and of course, right, the collective of Belizeans, right? Proud of you all. And I think the sailing was at Wood Bay. I didn't get to go today. I used to go sometimes to say radio and United, and then you had all the others, right? But as a child, I grew up with that, and I'm happy to know that kite flying season, I would want to see more kites made by Belizeans, you know. But all in all, the breeze they blow good with people's fruit season, they call along, and our people's spirit is there. And Wade, Mr. Wade, I see you as one of the benefactors of Belize, you know, because you, as a Belize Defense Force soldier, shoulder to shoulder, you participated in that singular honor. I wish you'd have asked me to help you to polish your shoe that day when you helped to raise the hoist, as Belizeans say, the Belize flag. So God bless you, Mr. Wade.
Thank you,
Yourself, Mr. Leonard Brackett, and Mr. Greg. Mr. Leonard, I know you have been around national hero Philip Goldson from you were a child, reading, writing, listening, supporting, and you have that thing to Belize called loyalty, which is in scarce supply. So I want to thank you and what you do over the decades and as a way of life for the people and country of Belize. It's not for naught. I want to say thank you. You three gentlemen are benefactors of Belize. You continue to fight with truth, honesty, zeal. Nobody's agenda but looking after the people of Belize and under the fear of God. It can't come better than that.
Well said, Mr. And truth be told, Mr. I am one of the national representatives in this country and their national team some years ago. So I do respect and appreciate past benefactors like Lee Richardson, Mr. Golson, and all the Palbeiras who have helped in many different ways to mold this great country of Belize that we call or jewel. With that said,
And
I would
Belize
like
could
to
not
say,
have done it without our Belizeans who live abroad, dual nationality. We couldn't have been holding the fort here without you all out there. You've had to go but you must come back. They're not just about the remittances, it's about your loyalty to Belize, speaking at the UN, demonstrating your love and support, carrying the culture, be the
Rightfully
heirs and
said.
part of Belize. So thank you to Belizeans at home
Right.
and abroad, with its unsung heroes, and the list goes on, who have institutionalized the Belize cause abroad, from the British Honduras Freedom Committee, the Consortium for Belizean Development, the state associations, especially in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Florida, and London, other parts of the world. Everywhere, Belizeans, when you're abroad, you are counted amongst the best by way of work ethic, intellect. The Mr. Carter's, Mr. Carter was sent from Belize because they couldn't stand him here. He ended up at the World Bank.
Greg,
Henry Fairweather, the
Yes.
Henry
Yes.
Smith of World
With
Health
that said, Miss
Organization,
Faith,
and it goes on and on. Miss Nadia Katous in London served during the war. It goes on and on. The ladies and gentlemen,
right.
the Melons, did I
Rightfully
pronounce
said,
that
Miss
word
Faith.
correct, Mr. Leonard?
Yes.
Of Belize, British Honduras,
With that
contribution to the
said,
world.
I would like to end by saying good night to the Belizean people at home and abroad. And what was said here, I'm specifying it to you, like Bob Marley, to get up and stand up for your right, which is your country and constitution. With
Thank
that,
you.
I would like to say good night.
Good night.